Yo, it's your pal Pizer here to show you some particularly powerful papers. So let's hop off that old dusty trail and enter the Lotus fields, brother. Starting this week off right with another batch of 4 powerful decks for 30 bucks, because you guys really liked that video a lot. I enjoyed making that video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the video. Check out the nixlotus.com website to try out our Scryfall tool and pick up some Teneb the Harvester merch. And if you want to show a little additional support, you can become a $1 Patreon member or YouTube member. All that and more in the description. Let's get into it. Our first powerful deck for $30 is based around Aang at the Crossroads, being 2 a green, a white, and a blue for a 3/3 flying. When Aang enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When another creature you control leaves, you can transform Aang at the Crossroads at the beginning of the next upkeep, which is a 4/4 flying. Land creatures you control have vigilance at the beginning of combat on your turn, Earthbend 1. So yeah, backside pretty sick. That front side though, that's a powerful ETB, so we're gonna be blinking. Call me Abraham, because we're going to be blinking. So of course we've got the classics. We've got stuff like Flicker of Fate, Scroll Shift, or Cloud Shift to all be one-time use effects to blink Aang, get his ETB, and then cheat another creature that costs 4 or less into play. But where this becomes really good is when you have creatures that can blink, because we can hit stuff like Glimmerpoint Stag, Aang the Last Airbender, or All Fates Stalker off of Aang's ability itself to then have it ETB and then target Aang and then blink Aang again, so we get another one. So it's just like a free creature that gets thrown into the mix, which I really like. Of course, we didn't forget Restoration Angel in this list. That's of course going to be in here. But we've also got creatures that can provide recurring blink, like Nico, Light of Hope, Angel of Condemnation, or Soul Herder, which all 3 can just provide reoccurring blink on our side of the board. All of them cost 4 or less, so we can hit it with Aang. Seems very good. And of course, we've got Airbender's Ascension in here as well, because 2-drop that gives us a blink at the end of every turn. That seems pretty crazy. The deck also runs Starfield Vocalist. I wasn't sure where to put this, but here it is. It just gives us another activation of Aang's ability every time he enters, which, as you could guess, gonna be pretty good. So the question then becomes, what are we blinking Aang for? To cheating creatures that cost 4 or less. And that's not going to be 4 or less. A lot of the time, that's going to be 4. Because we run a ton of 4-drops in this deck, because that's the best thing you could hit with Aang. So let's talk about some of our 4-drop bombs that we run in here. We've got Ambitious Dragonborn being a 4-drop 0/0 that enters with a 1/1 counter on it equal to the greatest power among creature cards you control and cards in your graveyard. So whatever our biggest thing is already, we will get a second one of that. Academy Elite is a 3 and a blue 0/0 that enters with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in all graveyards. You can remove one from it to draw a card and then discard a card. Yeah, this thing's going to be a 4-drop that enters pretty big. We've got Dugon Private Detective being a 2, a blue, and a green for a star whose power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. Suki's power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and she makes tokens. Baloth Prime is a 10/10 that will make 4/4s when you sack lands. You can pay 4 to sack a land, gain 2 life. Enters tapped with 6 stun counters on it. Yeah, that's kind of fine with me, especially the sack a land, because if we can flip Aang and get the Earthbender to go off, we're kind of fine sacking lands with that, actually, because Earthbended lands will come back when they die. We also run Traxxas being a 4-drop 7/7 trample that doesn't untap unless you play a historic spell. Dust Elemental being a 6/6 for 4 with flash, flying, fear. When it comes into play, return 3 creatures you control to your hand. We're fine with that, because we'll return some of our little blinky boys, or we'll just return one of these 4-drops, which is pretty inexpensive in the first place. Arixmethes, Slumbering Isle, being a 4-drop 12/12 that enters with 5 slumber counters on it. You have to slowly tick them off. It's also just a mana rock. Hunted Troll being a 2 and 2 green 8/4 that gives one of your opponents 4 1/1 blue fairies with flying, and it also can regenerate for 1 green. And then finally, the Earth King being 3 and a green for a 2/2 that enters with a 4/4, and whenever one or more creatures you control with power 4 or greater attacks, search your library for that many basic lands and put them into play tapped. Yeah, sure. All of these going to be absolutely huge bodies on board. The second we play Aang is going to just come in with one of these almost every time for backup. Actually busted. And then it's a blink deck, so in your removal slot you're going to run stuff like Reclamation Sage, so you can blink it. In your ramp slot you're going to run stuff like Farhaven Elf, so you can blink it. And in your draw spot you're going to run stuff like Wall of Omens, so you can blink it. Yeah, exactly. And also, of course, we run Rogue's Passage, so all of that big stuff can get through. What I like about this deck is it's got tons of creatures in the draw, ramp, removal slots, and a lot of early game creatures just in general. So this is going to have a presence on board even without the commander. And then when we play commander, we are going to get some kind of source of backup that it enters with. So we've gotten some kind of value out that. We've accrued some kind of value over the opponents. Everything past that's gravy. If we can get the commander to flip, sure, because we can always flip it back with a blink spell. But just being able to cheat out these big 4-drop threats, tell me if I'm wrong. I think that's enough to bring home this game. And if you think I'm wrong, let's run a test game. Yeah, we'll keep that. Play test. Okay, we'll go turn 1 Glacial Fortress, pass. Turn 2, we'll play Plains into a Wall of Omens to draw a card. Turn 3, we will play a Feyburrow Elder. Turn 4, we're actually going to play a Spirited Companion so we can set up for a blink play with Aang. So we'll draw a card. Displace, that's going to be great. And then we will pass. Comes back around to us. We'll play a Forest, and then we'll tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll play Aang. When Aang enters, we'll look at our top 5, put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to grab Suki. Suki is a 0/4 whose power is equal to the number of creatures we control, and whenever Suki attacks, we create a 1/1 ally. So right now, Suki is a 5/5, and then we're going to go ahead and pass turn. And then if anyone tries to deal with Aang, or at the end step before our turn, we're going to Flicker of Fate our Aang. It re-enters. We look at our top 5. 2, 3, 5. Ooh, that's a good lineup. We're going to put the Architect into play. It enters with a 1/3 wall. And then it's just rinse and repeat at this point. At the end of someone's turn, we're going to go ahead and drop a Restoration Angel to blink Aang. Aang blinks top 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go ahead and put a Starfield Vocalist into play to double all the abilities. We'll play Displace to blink 2 things we control. We'll blink Aang and Spirited Companion. We'll have Spirited Companion enter first, so we'll draw a card. And then Aang will enter. Actually, we'll draw 2 cards off Spirited. And then Aang will enter and trigger twice because of Starfield. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure, we'll get an Ambitious Dragonborn. And Suki is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Ambitious Dragonborn enters with 9/1/1 counters. These go to the bottom. We do Avatar again. That time we just did a Farhaven Elf, but Farhaven Elf grabs us 2 lands because of Starfield Vocalist. You see what I'm saying? Deck's good. Very straightforward deck. Not a lot to talk about in the deck building side of things, but in the gameplay side of things, yeah, it's a good deck, dude. It actually fires off pretty... Yeah, deck actually rips, dude. So if you want a full link to the deck list, it's down below with the Moxfield link. And with that, we're going to move on to the second powerful deck for $30. Let's get it. Our next deck literally comes in at $29.99. And no, I'm not trying to sell you an infomercial. That's genuinely what the price came in at. And if you want a powerful deck on a budget, you can't get much better than Henzi Toolbox Tori. Henzi is a black, a red, and a green for a 3/3. Each creature spell you cast with mana value 4 or greater has Blitz. The Blitz cost is equal to its mana cost. You may choose to cast that spell for its Blitz cost. If you do, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Blitz cost you pay costs 1 less for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone. So, right off the rip, Henzi is going to be giving all of your creatures with a CMC of 4 or higher Blitz, but also just reduce that cost by 1 just from being in play. So all your big stuff costs 1 cheaper, comes into play with haste, you have to sack it at the end of the turn, and it draws you a card. I'm sure we couldn't manipulate that to be busted at all. The deck runs a good amount of ramp. We run 13 ramp spells because we want to make sure we have enough mana to play some of our big bombs and blitz them into play. Because unlike a lot of reanimation decks, this deck isn't trying to play stuff like Buried Alive or Ripples of Undeath to fill our grave and then reanimate it. This deck is trying to blitz big creatures into play, and then when they sack at the end of turn, use reanimation to reanimate those creatures back. So, in a sense, we are still hard casting these creatures. So, we are going to need a lot of mana ramp. But keep in mind, Henzi does reduce the blitz cost by 1, so he already is kind of built-in pseudo mana ramp for this deck, so that's already going to be great. But with that, let's move on to the bomb creatures that we run. The deck runs Inferno Titan and Grave Titan because they both have powerful ETB and attack triggers, so with Blitz, they will ETB and attack on the same turn. So Inferno Titan will deal 6 damage the turn it comes into play, and Grave Titan will make you 4 2/2s the turn it comes into play. We run stuff like Deathbringer Regent, being a 5/6 flying that wipes the board if you cast it, which we will be. Gruff Triplets being a 3/3 green 3/3 trample. When Gruff Triplets enters the battlefield, if it isn't a token, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. When Gruff Triplets dies, put a number of 1/1 counters equal to its power on each creature you control named Gruff Triplets. Oh, would you look at that? With Blitz, we're going to have to sacrifice the OG Gruff Triplets. So the original will die because of Blitz. We'll draw a card because of Blitz. And when it dies, Gruff Triplets will trigger to give the other 2 Gruff Triplets +3/+3. So we'll have 2 6/6s. I don't know. That seems pretty good. Evercoat Ursine is 4 and a green for a 6/5 trample, hideaway 3. So you'll look at your top 3, put a card underneath it twice. Whenever Evercoat Ursine deals combat damage to a player, if there are cards exiled with it, you may play one of them without paying its mana cost. So in this deck, giving Evercoat Ursine haste with Blitz is going to be pretty good. The deck also runs Butcher. It's a little weird because if we Blitz out Butcher, it will die, but again, we're trying to reanimate, so not that weird. 4 and 2 black, 5/4 flying. When Butcher or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. Green Warden of Marusa lets you return something from your graveyard to your hand when it enters or dies, so with Blitz, we're going to do both. Giant Epiphage spits out copies of itself when it deals combat damage. Zayatora lets you sacrifice creatures at the end of your end step and deal that much damage and create 3 treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. So if we can get Zayatora out, or reanimate it so it can stick, this is very good because we can just sack the blitz creatures that are going to die anyway to start turning them into damage and treasure tokens. Tree Shaker Chimera is 5 and 2 green for an 8/5. All creatures able to block Tree Shaker Chimera do so, and when it dies, we draw 3 cards, which with Blitz, it's going to die. Atali Primal Storm has an attack trigger that lets us cast off the top of everyone's deck, which we will get to do the turn it comes out because, yeah, it has haste. Thanks to Blitz. Junji, the Midnight Sky, has a powerful death trigger. Each opponent discards 2 cards and you lose 2 life, or you can reanimate a non-dragon from your graveyard, and with Blitz, that is going to die. We also run Atsushi, which exiles our top 2 or creates 3 treasure tokens on death. Roxanne is very, very good as she creates a meteor token that taps for mana, does damage when she attacks or enters. So with Blitz, we're going to make 2 meteors the turn she comes out, and those meteors are going to tap for double mana thanks to her second ability once we can reanimate her. Artisan of Kozilek's great because we can blitz this out and still get the cast ability to reanimate something from grave. Love me some Carter Doomscourge because we can blitz this into play, force everyone to attack each other, and then let it sack to go to grave, and then reanimate it and do it again. So pretty hard lockdown on attacks for a while. And then finally, Bringer of the Last Gift, being 6 and 2 black for a 6/6 flying. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, which we're blitzing it, which is casting it, each player sacrifices all other creatures they control. Then each player returns all creatures from their graveyard that weren't put there this way to the battlefield. Yeah. A living end stapled onto a giant 6/6 flyer? Sure. Now, obviously, we're going to need to reanimate stuff in this deck. So we run stuff like Squirming Emergence, being 1 a black and a green for a sorcery. Return target non-land permanent from your graveyard with mana value equal to or less than the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. The Death Side of Life and Death is 1 and a black to reanimate something and lose life equal to its mana value. Dread Return is a 4-drop reanimation spell that we can also sack 3 creatures to flashback. Victimize lets us choose 2 creatures in our graveyard, sack a creature to return those 2 into play. This is great because we can blitz something into play, attack with it, victimize the thing that's already going to die thanks to Blitz to just get back 2 things we previously blitzed. We talked about Junji and Artisan of Kozilek. Mirren of Clan Nel Toth will get counters the more stuff dies and then reanimate stuff equal to the number of counters she has. Phyrexian Delver reanimates on ETB. Persist reanimates a non-legendary with a neg1 on it. Arc Priest has backup, and when it deals combat damage to a player, we return a creature, so we can back up onto one of our big threats, onto Toolbox Tori, attack with both of them, reanimate 2 things, or Chainer Adept, which lets us discard a card to cast a creature from our graveyard each turn, and whenever a non-token creature enters, if it wasn't from our hand, it gains haste until end of turn. So again, another way to cast creatures from grave. Not only that, but also give them haste, which interacts really well with this deck. And on top of all this, we also run a Not Dead Bitch package, being stuff like Supernatural Stamina, which when a creature dies, it just comes back, because now we can just use that 1 mana that Henzi saved us for the blitz cost to just play one of these effects and just save the thing we blitzed. I'm going to blitz out an Atsushi for 1 and 2 red and then use the 1 mana I saved to Supernatural Stamina it. Atsushi dies in my end step thanks to Blitz. I draw a card thanks to Blitz. I make 3 treasure tokens thanks to Atsushi, and Atsushi comes back thanks to Supernatural Stamina. Gross. But if you want to see if this thing really runs, I can show you right now with the playtest game. Yeah, that one's keepable. Playtest that one. Okay, so turn 1, we're going to go ahead and play a Lanelore Waste. Turn 2, we're going to play a Forest and a Sakura and sack the Sakura for a red mana. Then when it comes back around to us, we're going to play a land, we're going to drop Henzi, and then here's where it gets spicy. We're going to blitz out a Roxanne. When she enters, we get a Meteor token, and when she attacks, which we're going to attack with her, we get another Meteor token. I think they enter tapped, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. When they enter, they do 2 damage to any target, and they tap for any color. So we got 2 Meteor tokens now, swing for 4. And then Roxanne's going to die thanks to Blitz, and we will draw a card thanks to Blitz. And we will pass back around. Actually, we could have Village Rights to Roxanne there to sack a creature and draw 2 cards. But that's okay. We'll do it with something else. Okay, when it passes back around to us, gonna untap, gonna draw. I think we already drew, actually. That's my bad. We're gonna pay 4 to blitz out a Junji. And we're gonna swing for 5. And when Junji dies, I get to reanimate a non-dragon. So we're gonna bring back Roxanne, which will make another tapped Meteorite that does 2 damage. And then we are going to, I think, pass there. We're sitting, actually, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana open. So, but I don't have anything I can Village Rights right now, so we're just going to pass. Comes back around. We're going to Night's Whisper to draw 2, gain, or lose 2. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Giant Epiphage. It's a 7/7 trample. When it deals combat damage, you make a token of it. Token copy of it. So we're going to swing. When she swings, I get another Meteorite. When he swings, I get a copy of him. And before he dies, I'm going to Village Right the OG one. And I still draw a card off Blitz when it dies, so I will draw 3 cards here. Yikes. And then we'll pay 1 and a black to use the Death side of Life and Death to reanimate Giant Epiphage. Actually, we'll reanimate Junji. Gonna reanimate Junji with it, and then lose 5 life. And yeah, we're sitting pretty. This one is also pretty good. Then we've got Mirren sitting back that we can start leveling up. Roxanne's gonna keep making more and more meteors that are gonna be making more and doing more and more damage. We're gonna keep blitzing stuff. When Junji dies, he'll bring back Giant Epiphage. We got a Disciple of Bolus we're drawing into, so we could sack the Junji, draw 5, gain 5, which draws us into Inferno and Undying Revolt. Yeah, we're sitting pretty good. Not too bad, huh? Yeah, pretty good decks, honestly. These ones have been absolutely firing off, so if you've been looking for a powerful deck for 30 bucks, again, full Moxfield link for the deck list for Henzi Toolbox Tori down below in the description. And with that, we're going to move on to the third $30 powerful Commander deck. Let's get it. Our third powerful deck for $30 is built around Eluge the Shoreless Sea. Eluge is 1 and 3 blue for a star whose power and toughness are equal to the number of islands you control. When Eluge enters or attacks, put a flood counter on target land. It's an island in addition to its other types, for as long as it has a flood counter on it. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn cost 1 blue or 1 colorless less to cast for each land you control with a flood counter on it. That's right, this girl can make your spells free. First things first, Flood of Mars. This is 100% in the deck. It's just another card that provides flood counters on lands, so this is going to double time your commander, which is absolutely disgusting. So this is a spell slinger deck, so keep in mind our draw spells are going to be stuff like Opt, Quick Study, but also thanks to our commander reducing the cost of stuff, we can run stuff like Pull from Tomorrow, Silver Scrutiny, or Mind Spring to just dump a ton of our reduction into a huge card draw. Eluge can be out for 3 turns, and she would have put 3 flood counters on stuff, making all your spells, instants, and sorceries cost 3 less to cast. That's fairly significant. So this deck runs a lot of large instants and sorceries that we're going to have a huge discount on thanks to Eluge. So let's just say Eluge has been out for 2 turns. She's entered and she's attacked once. Just apply a -2 cost to any of the bombs we're talking about and tell me you wouldn't play that. Spell Twine, 5 and a blue, sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. Copy those cards. Cast the copies without paying their mana cost. Yeah, if this was a 4-drop, Finale of Revelation, X and 2 blue, draw X cards if X is 10 or more. Instead, shuffle your graveyard and library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. This just being like a 2 blue, draw whatever you want most of the time in this deck is kind of disgusting, and it makes getting to that 10 all the easier. Rite of Replication being 2 and 2 blue for a sorcery, Kicker for 5. Create a token that's a copy of target creature. If this spell was kicked, create 5 of those tokens instead. Yeah, that'll win you a game. And that'll be progressively easier and easier to cast the longer Eluge is out. Amanatu's Augury lets you look at the top 8 and cast a spell of each type off top. Blue Sun's Twilight lets you gain control of something. If X is 5 or more, you make a copy of it. Psychosis Crawler, this interacts with the large card draws pieces we run like Mind Spring. That could be really, really powerful to sneak a game win. Scourge of the Fleets will bounce back everything equal to the number of islands we control. Mass Manipulation gains control of X target creatures. Clone Legion lets us copy someone's board. And Blatant Thievery lets us gain control of something for each opponent. All of which will come out way cheaper than they normally do, thanks to not only our commander, but thanks to mana ramp pieces like Mocking Sprite, Mind Splice Apparatus, or Jace's Sanctum, reducing the cost of instants and sorceries we cast as well. All the while, we run Slinger engines like Whispering Wizard to make 1/1 spirits, Gale, which lets us play an instant whenever we cast a sorcery, and lets us cast a sorcery whenever we play an instant, Murmuring Mystic, which makes us 1/1 blue illusions, Mercurial Spelldancer, which gives itself counters and then can remove those counters to copy spells, Talrand, which makes us 2/2 blue Drakes, Niblis of Frost, which taps creatures whenever we play an instant or sorcery, Octavia, which turns creatures into 8/8s whenever we play an instant or sorcery, Wavebreak Hippocamp, which draws us a card whenever we cast a spell during an opponent's turn, Ominous Seas, which gives us an 8/8 every time we draw 8 cards, and Archmage Emeritus, which draws us a card whenever we cast an instant or sorcery. Oh yeah, and the deck runs High Tide too. So, not very unlikely to play a lot of this big mana stuff in here, even more so. But hey, if you don't believe me, let's run a test game. Okay, we're going to start off with a tapped Rivendell. And then we'll do a Ominous Seas here. Draw a card, put a counter on Ominous Seas. Play our land for turn. Pay 2 for a Mind Stone. Pass turn. Turn 4, we're going to play Eluge. When she enters, we're going to put a counter on Rivendell. So it's an island now, and it has a flood counter on it, so our spells cost 1 less to cast already. Okay, next turn. Draw a card, put a counter on this.
We can start capsizing and putting capsize back into our hand and being really annoying already. Put another counter on this. Attack with Eluge to put another flood counter on this. Our stuff costs 2 less. We'll pay 2 for Factor Fiction. Top 5. These are probably going to be in separate piles. That's going to probably be with that one. Pay 1 for Soul Ring. And then we will pass turn because we have Insidious Will in hand that we can use. Before it comes back to us, we're going to crack Mind Stone to draw a card, which will put another counter on this. Then when it comes back to us, we'll untap, draw a card, which puts another counter on this. Going to play our land for turn. We'll swing with a Eluge again, actually, to put 1 counter on this. And then we'll pay 3 blue. And we'll cast a Blue Sun Zenith for 3 because our spells cost 3 less, so we'll draw 3. Ooh. Our spells cost 3 less, so Blatant Thievery only cost 4. So I'm going to play Blatant Thievery and gain control of a creature for each opponent. So we've got 3 more creatures on our side of the board. Comes back around. Ominous Seas will get a thing. We'll play this. We'll play Consider. Actually, Consider's free, so we'll play Consider. Draw another card for Ominous Seas. Put that in there. Actually, we'll play Talrand first before we do that, so we can get a Drake. But then, yeah, you can attack with the Luge again. Give another counter here. We've got 4, so our stuff costs 4 less. So we could play like an Amanatu's Augury for... Look at our top 8. For each card type, we can play a spell. Would you look at that? We're going to play this for a creature. We're going to play Aether Spout for... Actually, Aether Spout can't. We'll play Mind Splice Apparatus for an artifact. We'll play Island, and then we'll play High Tide. Yeah, again, working. We're going to have another 8/8 Kraken coming out. We're going to start making 1/1s. Our stuff's going to be really reduced. Keep in mind, we just Blatant Thievery'd, so we have 3 of our opponent's best things in play under our control as well. And we're looking pretty. It only gets better from there. And as you can see, even if we don't have a Luge, the deck just performs pretty well as a control deck with stuff like Insidious Will, Aetherize, Capsize, Extra Large Fries, Anime Eyes. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good. Pick it up. I don't agree. I couldn't agree more, past Nick. I think this one's great. If you want a full Moxfield deck list link, it's down in the description. And with that, we're going to move on to the 4th and final $30 Powerful Commander deck. Let's get it. So our 4th and final deck is based around Caesar, Legion's Emperor. Being 1, a red, a white, and a black for a 4/4. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose 2. Create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. You draw a card and lose 1, or Caesar Legion's Emperor deals damage equal to the number of tokens you control to target opponent. Yiker dikers. Well, this is a token deck, so let's start with the token creation. We got White Glove Gourmand, being 2, a white, and a black for a 2/2. When it enters, you create 2 1/1 white human soldier tokens, and at the beginning of your end step, if another human died, you create a food token. Martial Coup is a board wipe that is X and 2 white that wipes the board if X is 5 or more, but it also creates X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Sinkhole Surveyor can make itself bigger with 1/1 counters when it attacks, or create 1/1 colorless spirits. Increasing Devotion is a 5-drop that makes 5 1/1 humans. That's a straightforward token card right there. Wizened Mentor along with Monastery Mentor both create 1/1 tokens. In the case of Wizened Mentor, it's whenever someone activates an ability of an artifact that isn't a mana ability, and with Monastery Mentor, it's whenever we cast a non-creature spell. Bastion of Remembrance gives us a 1/1 human, as well as causing each opponent to lose 1, and we gain 1 whenever a creature we control dies. Thales pretty much gives us a 1/1 spirit for each token we made that turn. Not even pretty much, that's exactly what she does. She doubles our token creation for the turn in spirits. Assemble the Legion is a 5-drop enchantment that gets a counter at the beginning of our upkeep, and it'll make more and more 1/1s for each counter it has on it, so this thing, if left unchecked, is an absolute unit. Captain of the Watch, one of my favorite cards, being 4 and 2 white for a 3/3 vigilance. Other soldiers get 1/1 when it enters, create 3 1/1 soldiers. Loyal Apprentice will give you 1/1 Thopters as long as we control our commander on our upkeep, or at the beginning of combat. Horn of Valhalla is a powerful equipment, giving 1/1 to the equipped creature for each creature we control and equipping for 3, but we can play the adventure side before that to create X 1/1 white soldiers for X and 2 white. Another one of my favorites is Hero of Bladehold, being 2 and 2 white for a 3/4 Battle Cry, which is one of my favorite mechanics ever made. When this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. We also run Infantry Shield, being 2 and a red for equipment that equips for 2. Equipped creature has Menace and Mobilize X, where X is its power. Mobilize makes you a number of 1/1 red warriors when it attacks that are tapped and attacking that you have to sack at the beginning of the next end step when the creature attacks. Secure the Waste is X and a white to make X 1/1 warrior creature tokens, and Wildfire Awakener is X1 a red and a white for a 3/2 convoke. When it enters, you create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with, when this creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to target player. So all these tokens are not only going to flood the board and attack players like tokens do, they're also going to be great. They're going to be great fuel for Caesar because we need to sack a creature whenever we attack to get 2 of his 3 abilities. So we're going to be sacking these tokens. But we probably need some interaction for when those tokens enter or those tokens die, right? So let's talk about that. We run Intangible Virtue to give our tokens in play 1/1 in Vigilance. Bastion of Remembrance, as we said, it causes each opponent to lose 1 and we gain 1 when one of our tokens dies. Shocking Sharpshooter, Molten Gatekeeper, and Witty Roastmaster will all ping opponents when creatures ETB on our side. Arabella will deal damage equal to the number of small creatures we control when she attacks, which, as we can see from my $10 deck videos, is pretty powerful. Click on that video if you want to introduce your friends to Magic for $10. Victimize is also going to be good because we can just sack a token to get back 2 of our powerful creatures. Cruel Celebrant will drain opponents when creatures die, as well as Mirkwood Bats doing the same when tokens are created or sacrificed. And then finally, we've got Illis Ilkor being a white and a black 2/2. Whenever stuff enters on our side, we gain 1. Whenever stuff enters on opponent's side, they lose 1. And of course, we want to be able to interact with these tokens a little bit outside of our commander's sack, so we run some additional sack outlets like Body Dropper. Whenever you sack another creature, it gets a 1/1 counter, so he's just passively going to get big anyway. Play a black and a red, sacrifice another creature, Body Launderer gains menace until end of turn. So Body Launderer could actually be a game ender in this deck. Popular Egotist being 2 and a black for a 3/2. Pay 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature. Popular Egotist gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, target opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Absolutely perfect for this deck. Yeheni gets massive when stuff dies, and you can sack a creature to give it indestructible, and Viscera Seer lets you sack a creature to scry 1. All of these utilizing our tokens to great effect. But hey, maybe you don't believe me, so let's take a look at a test game. Yeah, we could play test that one. Okay, so we'll go first, play a Swamp, pass. Pay a Tainted Field, and then a Orzhov Signet, pass. Go ahead and play a Mountain, so we can play our turn 3 Caesar. Pass the turn. When it comes back around us, we're going to pay 5 to play Wildfire Awakener to make 2 1/1 red elemental tokens. We're going to swing with Caesar for 4 when he attacks, or whenever we attack, we can sacrifice another creature if we do choose to. We're going to sack one of these elementals, and we're going to choose to. We're going to create 2 1/1 red soldiers that are tapped and attacking. Get 2 of those tapped and attacking. And then we will also have Caesar deal damage equal to the number of tokens we control to target opponent, which is 3. So the opponent takes 3, 4 from Caesar. We get 2 more things tapped and attacking. Kinda gross. Pass to the next turn here. And yeah, we're looking pretty saucy already. We're just going to swing out. And when we attack, we're going to sack one of the human tokens to make 2 more human tokens tapped and attacking. And then we're also going to deal the damage again, so we do 4 damage to the opponent this time. And then after we attack, we're going to plumb the forbidden and sack a human, and a human to lose 3, draw 3. That seems good with me. Play an Arcane Signet, tap 2 for a Talisman, and then pass turn. Untap. Oh yeah, Idol of Oblivion seems like a good draw. Play Idol of Oblivion. We'll go ahead and swing again. Sack the elemental token to make 2 more human soldiers. Since we made a token, we can tap Idol to draw a card. Oh man, a Molten Gatekeeper. This is getting better and better. We'll play Molten Gatekeeper. And we have a Witty Roastmaster chilling here that I didn't notice. Yikes. Yeah. You can see how we bring home this game pretty easily. Again, all the decks firing off today. And also, again, if you want to look at any of the decks we talked about today, you can find their Moxfield links down below in the description. These $30 powerful decks are some of the strongest that I've built, as you can see by the test gameplay. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. It helps me out a ton. We're trying to hit 20K. And if you want to check out the website, you can go to nixlotus.com to try out our Scryfall tool or buy some Nix Lotus merch that we just came out with. And if you want to show some additional support, you can become a Patreon member or a YouTube member for as low as $1. Helps me out a ton. And you can also submit your Commander deck list for Friday night deck reviews as well. So little incentive there. Huge thanks for all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the decks. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.